The shockwave from the MP burst rippled through the arena, distorting the lattice's glowing strands like ripples on water. Inside the Aurora's edge, alarms screamed and lights flickered, but Captain Rourke's hands were steady on the controls. The alien hunter ship was reeling, its drones scattering in chaotic, uncontrolled spirals. Shields at 32%, Navarro's voice cracked through the static, hull integrity dropping on port side. Before Rourke could respond, the lattice itself reacted. Threads of light began to move deliberately, curling inward like the closing jaws of a predator. It wasn't just reacting to the weapon's fire anymore. It was intervening. On the main view screen, a colossal shape emerged from the far edge of the arena. At first, Rourke thought it was another ship, but as it drew closer, its size dwarfed even the lattice structures. It was a construct, or perhaps a living being, shaped like an enormous, many-armed figure carved from shimmering crystal, each limb crackling with energy. Navarro's eyes widened. That is not in any star chart. The hunter ship's calm suddenly came alive. Not with a message, but with a desperate, distorted scream. Whatever the hunters were, even they feared this entity. In a final burst of power, their ship turned sharply, tearing through one of the lattice threads. The thread did not break. It folded around them like a snare, and the hunter ship vanished in a flash of light. The massive crystalline figure turned its faceless head toward the Aurora's edge, without moving its mouth, if it even had one. A voice echoed through every mind aboard. A conflict is not permitted here. You have reached the fracture point. For a moment, there was silence except for the hum of failing systems. Rourke swallowed, forcing himself to speak. We don't want conflict, but you've brought us into your... The voice again, deeper now, resonating through their bones. You came through the veil uninvited. You will prove your purpose or be erased. The crew exchanged grim looks. The Aurora's edge was damaged, the hunters were gone, and now they were in the presence of something far beyond their understanding. From the lattice walls, corridors of light began to open, pathways leading deeper into the alien structure. Whatever this trial was, they had no choice but to enter. Rourke tightened his grip on the console. Home, follow the light. The Aurora's edge moved forward, crossing the threshold into the unknown. The arena dissolved behind them, replaced by a vast, otherworldly expanse, a realm of shifting colors, floating platforms, and ancient alien machinery that pulsed with energy older than any human civilization. Somewhere ahead, their true test waited. The Aurora's edge glided through the corridor of light, its hull casting fractured reflections across the shifting spectrum. Outside, there was no true espesa, no stars, no darkness, only an endless ocean of color and movement, as if the ship were traveling inside a living aurora. Lieutenant Vega's voice was tight, reading, multiple energy sources ahead. Not hostile yet, but Captain, they're moving in patterns, almost like they're watching us. Rourke didn't look away from the view ahead. Stay on course. Whatever this thing is, it's testing us. The crystalline figure that had appeared in the arena now drifted alongside them, impossibly large yet perfectly silent, its limbs folding and unfolding with slow, deliberate grace. Each time its eyes, a single vertical band of light, passed over the ship, systems flickered as though it were scanning their every molecule. Then, without warning, the light corridor widened into a colossal chamber. Hundreds of floating platforms hovered at different heights, connected by narrow energy bridges that flickered into existence only when approached. Ancient alien monoliths stood upon these platforms, covered in glyphs that shifted as the ship drew near. The crystalline voice returned, vibrating through every bone and thought. 3 paths lie before you. Choose with purpose. Only one will lead you forward. On the tactical display, 3 routes unfolded. The Rift Bridge, a long, narrow causeway over a churning void of black fire. Key. The Spiral Gate, a twisting corridor of rotating rings, each glowing with unstable energy. The Veil Maze, a shifting labyrinth of transparent walls that rearranged themselves even as they watched. Navarro muttered under his breath. All of them look like death traps. Vega tapped her console, scanning the paths. The Rift Bridge is the most direct, but the energy readings from that void are off the charts. The Spiral Gate is navigable, but one wrong move and we're atomized. The maze, it's unpredictable. Rourke's gaze swept across his crew. If this is a test, maybe it's not about speed or strength. Maybe it's about understanding them. The crystalline sentinel's massive form leaned closer, its voice whispering this time, "Your decision reveals your nature." Frigga took a deep breath. "We take the Veil Maze." The crew didn't cheer, didn't argue. They just got to work. Engines shifted to precision control as the Aurora's edge slid toward the shimmering labyrinth. As soon as they crossed the threshold, the walls came alive, not just shifting physically, but projecting illusions. For an instant, Rourke saw Earth's sky above him, the smell of rain in the air. Then it was gone, replaced by a memory of his first ship exploding under enemy fire. It wasn't just a maze of matter, it was a maze of the mind, and something in the walls was learning their fears. The Aurora's edge crawled deeper into the veil maze, its hull brushing close to walls that seemed less like solid barriers and more like liquid glass. Every time the ship drifted past one, memories rippled across its surface. Not random ones, but their memories. Dr. Selena froze at her station. This is impossible. The maze is reading our neural patterns. It's pulling imagery directly from our subconscious. Vega's knuckles whitened on the controls. It just showed me my father's funeral. And it didn't just show it, I could feel it. Smell the air. Hear every sound. Hey, on the forward display, Rourke's past came flooding back. The day he'd been forced to order the evacuation of Outpost Theta, leaving hundreds behind. The screams still echoed in his ears. He clenched his fists and pushed the memory away. It's trying to break us. Stay sharp. Tute. The crystalline sentinel floated beyond the outer walls, its luminous cooking between each crew member as though evaluating their reactions. Its voice came soft yet everywhere. The path ahead belongs only to those who face the truth within. The next junction split into 3 corridors. Three corridors. The left path showed Vega's old homeworld sunlit and alive. The right path displayed Navarro's most treasured moment, the day he met his wife. The middle was blank. Selena's voice was almost a whisper. If it's testing us, maybe the middle path means we choose no illusion. We reject the bait. Rourke gave a sharp nod. The middle path, engines ahead 1/4 speed. As they entered, the walls dimmed. No memories, no visions, only darkness with faint threads of light weaving through the air. The silence was worse than the illusions. Then the ship jolted violently. From the shadows emerged forms. Vaguely humanoid but stretched and fractured like statues made of broken mirrors. They moved without sound, stepping across the void, reaching for the hull with elongated glass-like fingers. Vega shouted, "A contact!" They're trying to phase through the hull. Selene slammed a control and activated an electromagnetic pulse. The nearest figure shattered into a spray of shards, but the pieces reformed, twisting into an even more grotesque shape. The crystalline sentinel's voice boomed through the void. Fear cannot be destroyed. It can only be faced. Rourke gritted his teeth. Then let's face it. Full forward thrust. Get us through. The Aurora's edge surged ahead, engines straining, forcing its way past the grasping entities. One by one, the mirrored figures slowed and dissolved into mist. Ahead, the darkness broke into a burst of white light. The maze was behind them, but as the crew breathed in relief, Vega's sensors screamed to life. Captain, there's something waiting for us in the next chamber, and it's massive." Rourke's eyes narrowed. Put it on screen. The view shifted, revealing a colossal structure shaped like a black crown, floating in the light, and within its hollow center, something was moving. The colossal structure filled the Aurora's edge's main display, so vast that the ship's scanners struggled to measure its size. Its jagged arches curved inward, forming the shape of an obsidian crown suspended in a halo of shimmering energy. Inside the hollow core, a shifting mass of light and shadow swirled as though alive, sometimes forming shapes that looked alien, other times mimicking human outlines. Navarro's voice cracked through the tension. "That thing in the center is emitting a gravitational field stronger than a neutron star, and yet we're not being pulled in." Selena's fingers danced over her console. "It's controlling the gravity." That shouldn't be possible without technology millions of years ahead of ours. The crystalline sentinel reappeared on the screen, closer than before, its facets gleaming like starlight refracted through ice. "This is the throne of the first architects. Only those who pass the maze may stand before it." Rourke folded his arms. "And what exactly are we standing before? A weapon? A beacon?" The sentinel paused as if considering the weight of its next words. Choice. Before anyone could question further, the swirling core inside the black crown expanded outward, spilling tendrils of living light into the void. One tendril brushed the Aurora's edge, and instantly every screen on the ship went dark. Then the crew heard voices. Not over calms, inside their minds. They were not words, but raw sensations. Wonder, sorrow, warning. Vega staggered, gripping the edge of her chair. See them, the architects, billions of years ago. They built the crown as she gasped, as a gate. Selena's eyes widened. They gate to where? The voices surged and images burned into their minds. Stars collapsing into endless night, worlds shattering, an ancient enemy consuming galaxies. The crown was not just a gate. It was an escape. Rourke clenched his fist. If they escaped, where did they go? Where did they go? The sentinel's form dimmed, its voice now heavy. To the place your kind calls, the lattice beyond. But the way is closed, and you are not the only one seeking to open it. Before the crew could respond, sensors blared an urgent alarm. A massive shadow emerged from behind one of the crown's spires. A warship of alien design, sleek and blade-like, bristling with unknown weapons. Vega's voice was grim. Captain, they've locked onto us. Rourke's gaze hardened. A battle stations. Let's see if they're here for a fight, or to make sure we never touch that gate. The alien warship slid into full view, its dark hull drinking in the nearby starlight. Razor-thin fins extended from its sides like the folded wings of a predator, each bristling with turrets that glowed with an ominous crimson light. Navarro didn't wait for orders. Shields to full, engines on evasive pattern, Bravo 7. The Aurora's edge shuddered as the first barrage hit. Not physical projectiles, but lances of searing plasma that distorted the very space they passed through. Selena's console screamed with warning tones. Those weapons are warping localized space-time. If one hits us dead-on, it'll shear the ship apart. Rourke barked. Target their forward batteries. Twin beams of sapphire energy lanced from the Aurora's edge, striking the enemy's prow. The hit sparked briefly before vanishing into an invisible field. Navarro swore. They've got some kind of phased shielding. Our shots aren't penetrating. The crystalline sentinel still hovered near the black crown, unmoving. Rourke slammed the calm switch. If you've got any interest in us surviving this, now would be a great time to help. The sentinel's reply was maddeningly calm. Your survival is determined by your worthiness. The maze does not grant favor to those who have not earned it. Worthiness. Vega shouted as another blast rocked the ship. We're about to be space dust. The alien warship shifted tactics, unleashing a spread of glowing projectiles that curved mid-flight like hunting birds. Selena's eyes widened. Turia, those aren't missiles. They're tracking us through hyperspace probability maps. I then give them a probability they won't like, Rourke growled. Navarro, execute phantom drift. The engine screamed as Navarro flipped the ship sideways, plunging it into a blind spin while dumping a cloud of magnetized chaff. The warheads curved, hesitated, then split, some colliding with each other, others detonating harmlessly in the void. For a moment, they had breathing room. Vidaga's voice cut through the tense quiet. Think they're not here to destroy us outright. They're hurting us, pushing us away from the crown. Rourke narrowed his eyes. Then we hold position. The alien ship's main cannon began to charge, its glow building to a blinding intent. That's when the voices returned, the same ones from the crown's swirling core, louder now, urgent. Enter the gate, before it is sealed forever. Rourke's decision was instant. Plot a course straight into that thing. Selene stared. Captain, we have no idea what's inside. He didn't blink. Better the unknown than the end of the line. The Aurora's edge roared forward, racing toward the impossible structure as the enemy ship unleashed its shot. A wall of blinding energy swept across the void, and the Aurora's edge plunged into the heart of the black crown. White engulfed everything. For a moment, Rourke thought the Aurora's edge had been obliterated. No pain, no sound, just endless brilliance. Then shapes began to emerge. The bridge's familiar outlines returned, but outside the viewport there were no stars, no blackness of space, only a vast expanse of shifting colors, like a living aurora stretching in every direction. It was as if they had sailed into the heart of a nebula, only it moved with intent. Navarro's voice was hushed. We're not in normal space anymore. Selene scanned her instruments, her brows knitting. Nothing, no coordinates, no point of reference. Sensors are reading distances as both infinite and zero. Vega stood motionless, her eyes fixed on something outside. Captain. Look. A colossal structure floated ahead, dwarfing anything they had ever seen. It wasn't mechanical in the traditional sense. It looked grown, layers of crystalline arches spiraling around a central spire that pulsed with inner light. And in that spire's glow, faint silhouettes moved, almost human, almost not. The voice from before returned, now surrounding them, resonating in their bones. You have entered the threshold. Few are permitted. Fewer still may leave. Rourke straightened. Identify yourself. The light pulsed and one of the silhouettes stepped forward from the spire. It became solid, a being of tall, graceful form, its translucent skin laced with veins of glowing silver. Its eyes held galaxies within them. I am Vera, keeper of the gate. The crown is not a weapon, as your enemies believe. It is a key, and you have brought it closer to its awakening. Navarro muttered, if this is the key, what's the lock? Vera's gaze fell on him, unblinking. The lock is already turning. And what waits beyond it will not be stopped by your kind or mine. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Celine stepped forward. If you know about the other ship, the one attacking us, then you know we didn't start this fight. Why are they here? They serve the architects of silence, Vera said. Well, beings who believe that life must be quiet forever. They seek to seal the gate from the inside, trapping what sleeps there. And those who would protect it. Rourke's jaw tightened. And us? You are here because you were chosen by the maze. Your choices will decide not only your survival, but the fate of countless worlds. Before Rourke could speak, the shifting colors outside darkened. The Aurora's edge shuddered violently. Selena's console flared red. Something's following us. It came through the crown. The alien warship emerged from the shimmering haze, its weapons glowing brighter than ever. And behind it, something far larger stirred in the Aurora, its silhouette blotting out the light. The Aurora's edge shook again as Selena's console blared. A shield's at 60%, she shouted. That warship isn't just firing, it's disrupting the Aurora around us. Outside, the alien vessel carved through the shimmering haze, its weapon blasts, leaving streaks of blackness that seemed to devour the light. But it was what followed in its wake that froze everyone on the bridge. From the swirling colors, a shape unfolded, so immense that perspective failed. It was as if the Aurora itself had taken form, coiling and uncoiling in colossal tendrils of light and shadow. Eyes, if they could be called that, flickered open across its form, each one a swirling vortex of stars. Vera's calm voice cut through the chaos. You have woken the Sentinel. Rourke's gaze locked on her. And what exactly is a Sentinel? A guardian, a prisoner, and a test. The architects chained it here eons ago to watch the gate and destroy anything unworthy that approaches. Navarro's voice cracked, and let me guess, they're going to vote no on us. The Sentinel's vast form pulsed, and a wave of energy rippled outward. The Aurora's edge screamed as hull plating vibrated and alarms erupted. Selena's hands flew over her controls. It's scanning us. Deep scan. It's reading every system, every lifeform aboard. Vera turned toward Rourke. The Sentinel will decide. You can fight it and risk destruction or face its judgment willingly. The warship behind them fired again, striking the Aurora near the Sentinel. The creature's attention snapped toward the intruder, its tendrils curling with sudden fury. Looks like they just cut in line, Navarro said. Rourke's mind raced. Your foot destroys them first. Before he could finish, the Sentinel moved. With impossible speed, a tendril of condensed light lashed out, wrapping around the enemy warship like a predator catching prey. The ship's hull cracked under the pressure, energy flaring as it tried to break free. The crew watched in stunned silence. Celine whispered, it's not killing them, it's taking them somewhere. Vera's gaze remained fixed on the Sentinel. It takes the unworthy to the labyrinth. Rourke swallowed hard, and if it decides we're unworthy, Vera finally looked at him. Then you will learn why they call it that. The Aurora shifted again, and for the first time, the Sentinel's many eyes turned toward the Aurora's edge. The bridge fell silent as the Sentinel's gaze enveloped them. It wasn't light in the normal sense. It was an awareness, vast and alien, sliding into their minds. So, Rourke felt his thoughts unravel, each memory stripped bare and suspended before him. Childhood laughter, battlefield screams, the cold taste of defeat. It was like standing naked in front of the universe. Celine gasped, her fingers frozen over the controls. Navarro gripped his chair armrest so hard his knuckles turned white. Vera stood perfectly still. Ooh, not resist. The more you fight, the deeper it digs. The Sentinel's presence flooded the ship, pressing into every corridor, every crew member's thoughts. It wasn't just scanning, it was judging the essence of who they were. Screens flickered, displaying symbols no human had ever seen. They pulsed in rhythm with the crew's heartbeats. Then came the voice. Not through speakers, not through translation, but directly inside their minds. You walk uninvited toward the gate. You carry violence. You carry fear. You carry hope. Which will rule you? Rourke forced his mind to focus. Hanky focus. It's testing us, asking which side we choose. Vera responded aloud, though the sound was irrelevant. We seek passage. We seek understanding. The sentinel's eyes flared brighter. You speak words of peace, yet your weapons hum with readiness. On cue, Selena's weapons console beeped. Every gun was armed. Power them down, Rourke ordered quickly. Selena hesitated. If it decides we're lying, he'd do it. The hum of the weapons faded, replaced by the deep, living pulse of the sentinel. A sudden shift rippled through the aurora. The creature's massive form coiled tighter around them, and reality itself seemed to stretch. Stars bent, colors bled together, and the aurora's edge was no longer in normal space. Navarro stared at the view screen. Oh, anyone want to tell me where here is? Outside, there was no space, no stars, only endless shifting corridors of light and shadow, spiraling in every direction. Vera's voice was barely above a whisper. The labyrinth. Rourke's jaw tightened. So we were unworthy. Vera turned to face him. Not yet. The labyrinth is not punishment. Wait, it is the trial. Somewhere in the distance, a new shape began to emerge. Smaller than the sentinel, but moving faster, hunting through the corridors like a predator in a maze. The trial had already begun. The corridors of light twisted around them, bending in impossible angles, folding in on themselves like the inside of a kaleidoscope. The aurora's edge drifted slowly forward, her engines struggling to understand the space they were in. Every movement felt delayed, as if reality itself was syrup thick. The shape in the distance moved again. It wasn't drifting, it was tracking, closing the distance with terrifying precision. Rourke, Selene's voice was tight. That thing is fast. If it keeps its speed, it'll be on us in under 5 minutes. Navarro's hands flew over his controls. I'm boosting thrust, but the ship lurched violently sideways, sending the crew stumbling. Nope. So, every time we push harder, the labyrinth pushes back. Vera's black eyes followed the approaching shadow. The first guardian. It will test your instinct. Rourke snapped his head toward her. Meaning? It will provoke you to flee or to fight. Choose wrong, and the trial ends here. Outside, the predator emerged from the shimmering corridors, a ship-shaped thing made of jagged crystal, reflecting the labyrinth's colors like shards of a broken star. Its wings that twisted and realigned, slicing through space without leaving any wake. And then, it screamed. The sound bypassed the hull and drove straight into their bones, an ultrasonic wail that made every nerve in Rourke's body feel raw. Selene winced. That sounds, it's mapping us, it's reading our systems. Then kill the scan, Rourke barked. She hesitated. If I jam it, that's aggression. Might be exactly what it wants. The predator screamed again. This time the labyrinth itself seemed to shiver, walls of light narrowing around them like a noose. A cap, Navarro said quietly. We're not moving anymore. Outside, the crystal hunter came to a dead stop, then began to unfold. Panels spread like petals, revealing a core of pulsing white fire. Vera's voice dropped low. It is decided. The trial begins now. The core flashed, and the first beam of pure, searing energy lanced toward the aurora's edge. But the aurora's edge.